What is up, everyone?
Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am Nathan Marzian, joined as always by Brandon Eckel. Um, we got a new thing we're doing, Top 10
Yeah.
Tuesdays, or we'll call it the Tuesday Top 10. Every week we're going to have a top 10 list. We're doing current NBA players this week. So we'll each go through, give our top 10 current NBA players. I already put my I put out like a tier list rankings of NBA players. I think it was like last week or I don't remember what it was, maybe less than a week ago. And like got a lot of it got a lot of traction. I know like it actually didn't get that much hate. There's gonna be I think I had like 15 players on there. So when you're ranking 15 players, like naturally there's going to be some hate because like it's a lot of players to rank. There's gonna be some disagreements. But I was pleasantly surprised with like there wasn't a ton of hate. So I was like, okay, I at least think I, feel okay about my list. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, let's talk about, briefly talk about the Bucks. Those final few games. I think we went live after we did an episode after like game 3 or 4, and then there was the hectic game 5, and then game 6 and 7. But yeah, they win that crazy game 5 to go up 3-2. And then obviously weren't able to get it done. Lost in 7 to Boston. After that game 5, I know myself, like I was super happy. Did I think they were going to win the series after that game? Yes. But I was concerned with the lack of offensive firepower without Chris still. Like they didn't look great in that game 5. They just kind of hit a bunch of shots at the end. I think they were 6 of 6 from 3 in the fourth quarter. And it didn't feel like they were like dominating the Celtics or really like winning these games. It just kind of like, man, we just came through and got lucky at the end. And yeah, sure enough, last 2 games they combined to shoot 11 of 62 from 3, 4 of 33 in game 7. A painful game for us to sit through in Boston. But Giannis he was a fantastic. There just wasn't much around him. But again, he was our best 3-point shooter in the final 2 games. He was 3 of 7. The rest of the team was 8 of 55. But in the end, like without Chris, like Boston was the better team in this series. Boston did play better than us. I think they outplayed us in game 2. They outplayed us in the fourth quarters of games 3 and 4. For most of game 5, they outplayed us, and then in game 6 and 7, they outplayed us. Like they deserve to win this series. It's one thing when you're like, wow, the better team lost. Without Chris, like it's frustrating we didn't have Chris, but with the way it played out, with the players we had, like I think they were the better team. I don't know. We've talked about it, and if you want to just give kind of your thoughts on how it ended and everything kind of going into the offseason.
Yeah, it was just so tough not having your second best player, and obviously you're arguably, your best maybe overall score just for his ability to shoot for, like a 3-level score. Obviously Giannis being best player on the team and the respective score, but just ability to go get a shot, give it to somebody, just didn't really have that. Drew was kind of up and down, and that's not really his role to have to go do that, I guess. So I kind of get it. And like we talked, he has to put in a lot of effort on defense, but at the end of the day, we just missed way too many shots. And, that's kind of where our offensive defensive scheme came back to bite us, because it was like the past few years under Budenholzer, it's been, all right, we're going to chuck up a lot of threes. We're going to give up a lot of threes, and we're just going to hope that we do that better, and, if you have one of your best scorers, that's fine. But I almost feel like they needed to change a little bit, not having Chris. And there are just so many open looks from 3 too. If they're in contested threes, that's fine. But especially that game 7, how many times early on was it like, man, they left Grant open. He hit 3 or 4 now, and now it's too late.
Yeah, he was fantastic in that game. Got to give him credit. I think he had 27. What was frustrating is it feels like if you just close out on Grant Williams, he's not that good. It seems like when you leave him wide open, like yes, he can hit shots, but like even throughout the series, it's like he'd have an open shot, but if you can get someone to just close out, he either like has to pump fake and try to drive, but he can't do much offensively other than shoot wide open spot up threes. And it's like if you're just giving him that, it just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit frustrating. But again, I mean, their game plan going into that game clearly was like, we're gonna see if he can beat us, and he did. So again, got to give him credit. But I thought stuck with George Hill, Grayson Allen too much. Those guys really struggled. Um, so I think there's. But again, I can't blame Bud too much. You're never gonna go into a series like expecting to not have your second best player and like be super prepared for that. Like I know they knew it was coming, but it's like it's hard to be prepared for that, especially when you're going against a really good defense. Everyone kind of had to do more than they are normally supposed to do. Drew is taking more shots than he's supposed to. Even Giannis was taking more shots than he's supposed to. Giannis's usage percentage was like, I think it was 42. It was higher than sorry, Luka. I'm watching the game. Luka just chucked up a three from the logo and it hit nothing but backboard. Um, but Giannis's usage percentage was like higher than LeBron or MJ have ever had in a playoff series, which is crazy to me. Like
Jeez.
those teams LeBron carried, like he never in one series had a higher usage percentage than Giannis did in this series against Boston, which it just shows, we were relying on him for everything. And he almost got us there. I mean, got us up 3-2. He came to play in game 6, had 44, 20, and 6 or whatever it was. And then, obviously just nothing around him. But real quick, before we move on, going into the offseason, people want to trade. Like, people are thinking, like, we should try to, like, there's no reason to break up the big three. I mean, come on.
No.
We literally have not lost a playoff series with the big three all playing. Like, there's no reason to break that up. If you can get a Damian Lillard, okay, I'll listen. But I don't think that's realistic, and I'm just like, no, I'm not even thinking about that. I do think. What are your thoughts on the Brooks stuff? I think we can both agree. You're not like trying to trade Brook. You're not like, oh my god, we need to get rid of him. But I'm definitely willing to kind of explore offers.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat because I think to me it's more about his age. Like, if he was 28, 29, you're like, okay, maybe we can get him to move a little faster in defense. Maybe we can get him to be smarter how he plays pick and roll, stuff like that. But now he's kind of at the point of his career where it's like, all right, we kind of, we tried to get him to start shooting threes. It kind of worked. Now it's fading off a little bit, but, he's still like, okay. He's not great down low, even though they probably don't give him enough touches to be good down low. He's a good rim protector, but sometimes he gets in a little foul trouble just because I don't know, he's always saying, "Oh, I didn't foul the guy." But and then so yeah, I'm with you. It's like I'm not going to go out there and be like, "Oh, we need to trade him," but if there are offer on the table, it's considering. I know you said you really like Mo Bamba. I'm on that train. It
Yeah.
could work out too because you send him to go play with Robin. I think he's got another year or two on his deal. He loves Disney. I think that's why Robin signed there. So it's like it's a win-win. He's like, okay, I'm getting traded, but at least I get to go to Orlando. Like,
Yeah.
I think maybe they can make something work. And if you want to touch on this, I think um, I know we just signed him, and we only had him for a year, but maybe looking to package Grayson for something like, or maybe you have to do a Grayson and Brook for Mo Bamba and somebody, and then you go out and draft kind of a 2 or 3 guard. I don't know what your thoughts are there.
I want to try to package. I mean, again, I know neither of these guys is very good, but you could like maybe convince a team that they're good. Like if you're trading Brook, package like Wara and George Hill, like and like but again, like Wara is at least young. I know. I mean, teams might not know that he like, there's not much like stuff on him where I feel like you could convince a team that they're like, okay, like we'll take him as a young, piece or like an asset to like try to build him into something. Like Grayson, yeah, he's all right, but like I don't think he's like if you could do Hill and Wara instead of Grayson, I'd try to do that.
Yeah,
But,
no, I agree.
I don't know. I don't know what the teams think of these guys, but basically, yeah, Mo Bamba I think fits a lot. He checks a lot of the boxes. He's young, he's mobile, he can protect the rim. He's become a really good 3-point shooter. I think he's at like 38%. It just feels like you have to. I mean, you do have to start thinking about the future a little bit. You know you're gonna have Giannis for a while. I'm assuming he'll even sign after his supermax for more years. Like
Mhm.
we're gonna assume Giannis will be there. Drew and Chris, you get a couple more years of like really good play out of them. But then after that, and it's like even Brooke, like you can get a couple more years of good play, but it's like all of a sudden, like you don't want to be stuck in a couple years, like, all right, like we just kind of like don't have anything anymore, and you're left with Giannis and nothing else because like Chris falls off, Drew falls off, Brooke falls off. Like you got to start kind of expanding this championship window with Giannis. So I think Mo Bamba, he's 24 years old. Like I think getting him, and that's just I mean, it's a window extender. Like it's someone you can put in there and give you some good center play for a while. And again, I think he's still got potential. He can, his 3-point shot looks really good, and the things you can get him to do. I think too, like the culture in Orlando, like people are saying, there's questions about him as a not I don't even know if it's like as a teammate, but just and his motivation, everything. But I'm like, you play with the Bucks, you're playing around Giannis, like that's gonna change. Like the they just won a championship. Like you're not gonna go there and not be motivated or like, and if they're not, they're just gonna get him out of there right away. So it's like I'm open to trying to get him. I like Miles Turner too. Talked about
Yep.
him last year. Again, young, can do a lot of the things you need a center to do, and he just seems like someone who can extend the championship window for us. So yeah, not trying to trade Brook just to get rid of him. Not sitting here saying we have to get rid of Brook, but I'm definitely not like we can't get rid of Brook. Like we should just keep everything together. Totally fine trading him. I do think in the draft I'd rather go for the backup point guard that we kind of need.
I
Um,
agree.
because obviously like the George Hill stuff didn't really work out, and it's like it just seems like they need a guy for when Drew's on the bench that can hold it down. It seems like they always need a backup point guard, but um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, any other thoughts on the Bucks before we move
Yeah.
on to our
Well, a
top?
couple things kind of just on that. Well, I'll say this on the draft quick too. One guy, I saw a few people talking, and I know somebody was like, "Oh, I don't really like him because I think he's more of a fits like the way Giannis plays in a or not like that he is Giannis, but EJ Liddell."
Mhm.
And somebody was like, "Oh, I think he's more of like plays that Giannis role more than like a play next to Giannis." But I don't know if I really agree with that because I feel like he could be a small ball guy that could play alongside. Um,
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think he's a like the guy on a team.
yeah, and see, I don't know exactly what he said. I'd have to find the tweet, but um, yeah, he was just like, "Oh, I just don't know how his role would fit." But so that is one guy where I'm like, if you can get kind of like a versatile defender, I'd be in for that. Otherwise, I'm with you. Go for a point guard.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, what kind of money off the top of your head do you think Mo Bamba would be getting? Because he's a free agent, right? So it'd have to be a
I
sign and trade.
I think it was like no, it doesn't have to be a sign and trade, but like it could be like I think he's a restricted free agent, so like
Oh yeah, yeah.
Orlando might wanna sign and trade him. I want to say like 4 for 44, 4 for 50.
See, I was thinking that like 10 to 12 range, and that's like that would be kind of, like 12 would be what 48 over
Mhm.
4 years. So that's if we got him right around there, Brooks I think making 13, so that would match up good. So think about that. You're trading Brooks' contract for probably the same contract for a guy that's like 10 years younger.
Yeah,
Has a potential. I think, like you said, you put him next to Giannis and next to this culture, you get him to work hard off season, like he's going to be extra motivated. They traded for Wendell Carter, who plays the same position as him. Like they're just when you're not on a winning team, it's hard to stay like that when you're not a top tier. Like you look at Giannis, he was like, I want to be the best guy. Not everybody's like that, and it sucks, but so I think they could turn him into something. Also, a guy maybe we could target RJ Hampton. I don't know how much you like him or dislike him. I don't know a ton about him, but like 6'3", 6'4" guard, hasn't played a ton. They're kind of guard heavy there, so
yeah,
maybe
I
you
could
could
see
get
it.
him in a trade and have him play kind of that 1 or 2 guard. So
Yeah,
just another thought. But yeah,
and yeah, we'll get into more as the draft gets closer. We're gonna have a lot of stuff on NBA draft prospects and all that. So, like breaking down the players more specifically. So yeah, that kind of does it for the Bucks stuff. Let's move on to our top 10 lists. I'm gonna quickly share my screen. One second. But yeah, we both came up with like I said, we're gonna do this every Tuesday. A top 10 list. This week is and current NBA players. So right now, your top 10 players. All right, Brandon, I'm letting you start. Number 10.
Okay. I don't know. For me, I'm curious to see who you have because this was kind of like a toss up for me. I pretty much had my top 9 set, not specific order for some, but 10 I went Ja Morant. I He's a little shaky at times. He's obviously young. I didn't love this at 10, but I don't know. I went with him.
Now, I completely agree that it's a toss up. There were like this, like you said, there's kind of a drop off. I feel like a little bit. I'm pretty happy with my top 9 players. The order
Yeah.
can change and stuff, but I'm pretty happy with the 10 that I have. And I literally have in my notes that there's like 7 guys I think could go here. Um, Personally, I don't love Ja yet. I mean, I'm kind of a Ja Morant hater. Like I don't like it. I'm going Jimmy Butler here.
Okay.
And
Yep.
it's a little bit recency bias, but I also think that these playoffs, like they do sometimes show like who really the best players are. Like you can save some in the regular season, but like when you're going all out in the playoffs, and it's like, okay, Jimmy's been awesome in the playoffs for the most part. Wasn't great yesterday, but um, he's been super good in the playoffs. 5 40-point games with the Heat, and they've all come in the playoffs. So he seems like he turns down when it matters most. Um, so I'll put him at 10. I think Dame, Trey, Devin Booker. I think Ja could go here, but I just don't agree with it. PG, um, even like I mean, talent wise, like Anthony Davis, but I
Mhm.
don't know. Like there's just a lot of guys you could put here. But I'll go with Jimmy for now. Dame kind of fell off a little bit. Trey Young doesn't play any defense. Booker, I think, can be kind of inconsistent, a little bit overrated. I think Ja's overrated. PG's good, but it doesn't always play. And then Anthony Davis, of course, but like there's reasons to kind of bump all those guys down. So like I think Jimmy is the one that I'm like, okay, I at least kind of know what I'm getting from him. Um, all right, number 9. My number 9 is Jason Tatum,
Okay.
and this I feel like this might be too low for some people. I'm not a Jason Tatum hater by any means. I also like I said, when I did these rankings on my Twitter, I tiered them. So I had a tier that had like Jimmy, Dame, Trey, Booker, like all those guys I mentioned in a tier below Tatum. The next tier I have of 1, 2, 3, 4 guys. So these next or 5 guys. So these next 5 guys for me are in a tier. So like Tatum technically for me could be all the way up at 5, but I'm not putting him up there. But like I realistically I could see him being a top 5 player if you really want to put him there. But I do think that's a little bit high. First team All NBA got named there today. Last 2 seasons, he's been right around 26, 8, and 4.
Mhm.
Um, solid percentages from 3. Dropped off a bit this year, but still, I think he's at like 36%. And these playoffs, obviously, he's been very good. 6 30-point games. The only thing that keeps him lower for me that like I have a hard time calling him a top 5 player is just the consistency. Like
Yep.
he has 3 games this playoffs where he's under 20, and 2 of them he only had 10. Like those
Yeah.
are disappearing. Like that, it's very very rare you see. I mean, pretty much never where you're going to see guys like Giannis, KD, Luka, Jokic score 10 points. Like it just doesn't happen.
No.
So that's where I have a hard time like calling him a superstar. So, I mean, he's only 24 though. I think he's going to probably become a top 5 player pretty soon. Played good defense this against particularly Brooklyn too, in these
Yeah.
playoffs. So, still think he's very good. I have him number 9.
Number 9. So obviously, I'm curious now who else you have in here because you said you had Booker outside looking in. I have Booker at my number 9 spot.
Your list sucks already, dude.
um, I I don't know. He's turned into a really good scorer, but obviously it's kind of like he's and defense. He's like okay, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. To me, it's like he's a lot closer to a Donovan Mitchell than he is to a top 5 player in the league. He's like a better, more efficient scoring Donovan Mitchell, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah, he's. I guess my tier kind of cut off at 8, and then I have a few more. It
Okay.
was kind of like I was kind of like I thought Booker top 10 for sure, but he was like, yeah, probably 9 and then 10. But
I
yeah,
don't.
he's definitely not in the top 4 tiers for me.
Yeah, I don't hate Booker. I don't know. He doesn't play the same defense as Tatum, and for me, I mean, they're both in similar offensively in that, like, again, the reason they're not like superstars is because they're gonna have games they kind of disappear. They're not gonna be close to 30. Like again, the top guys, you kind of it's a given they're gonna be like over 25, pushing 30 every game. Um, Booker and Tatum, it's like they'll have games where they're kind of like 15 or whatever. So just that consistency and um, yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest Devin Booker fan. I don't hate him, but
Now I'm
I,
trying to. I have no idea who you're gonna have in here. Well, there's one guy who I left off.
see, I don't think any of my other players are surprising. So I'm curious as to who you have in here because you've already got two guys that someone is going to be taken off of here that I'm going to be very surprised about because
Yeah.
I could see, yeah, I don't know. We'll get to it.
Either I totally forgot someone or you have somebody that I don't have for a certain reason. But
All
anyway,
right, go with your number 8.
my number 8 then is Tatum. Same reasons you said. 2 10-point games for me in the playoffs. It just kind of like that's where it's like he's really good, but he's not in that exactly like you said, top 5, top 6 tier. Like none of these really top 7 for me. None of these guys are gonna have 10-point games. Hardly will they have under 20. And I'm not just a fill the box score with scoring guy, but that's what keeps him a little lower for me. But
All right, my number 8, and again, this is 9 through 5 to me are a tier.
okay.
My number 8 is Kawhi Leonard,
Okay.
and it's tough. He bumps down a little bit because we just haven't seen him play. He missed the whole season with the ACL injury, so that just it bumps him down. Again, I still have him in the tier where like you could call him a top 5 player, but there's like a reason to push him down a little bit. Like Tatum, it's because of the inconsistency and all that. With Kawhi, it's because we haven't seen him play. But the last time we did see him play, he was averaging 30 in the playoffs, very good efficiency. We kind of know what he is. He's like, I don't have a problem if you want to call him a superstar. He's great on both ends. Seen him do it in the playoffs. So I have no problem if you want to put him higher. I just have him a little bit lower because we haven't seen him play. So I have him at 8.
Okay. I just want to say this quick, and I should have said it before. I did not put him on this list since he didn't play. But had I done that, I would have had him 8 and then Tatum and Booker.
Okay.
I would have had him same spot. I just kind of was like, he didn't play this year. I'm kind of doing like,
no, we're changing it then because we're gonna
Yeah,
change the rules. I don't want people to think that.
yeah, I'm not including him in there because
Yeah.
no, that's right where I'd have him because then I kind of have my top 7.
All right, so we're just gonna improvise.
Perfect.
John Morant. John Morant overrated, gets bumped off. He's a glorified Russell Westbrook. But go on.
Okay, number 7 for me, I have Steph Curry.
Ooh, that's a little bit low.
It is. It was. I don't know. For me, it was 6 or 7, maybe 5. But the guy at 5 just had a great year. I love Steph. Obviously, he's a little regressing, but you can't even tell because he's such a great shooter. Yeah, not much more to say about him.
My number 7 is LeBron James.
Yeah.
And again, the stands, the LeBron stands, and like act like this is like hating on him. Again, once again, in the tier where if you want to call him a top 5 player, I'll allow it. But and he put up great numbers, 38 and 6 this past season. Everyone knows that he put up great numbers. And when he like to do that at his age is insane. It's not a knock. Like he's it's not a knock to have a 30 whatever 36 37-year-old player at number 7 on your list. Like that is incredible. But it was more empty stats than usual. He didn't have the same impact. I mean, I feel like anyone who's watched LeBron James and watched basketball just saw that this year where it's like, and I know the team wasn't good, but it's like he's usually able to impact the game more and carry a team more than he did. And it's like he was able to put up his 30 every game, but it's like it just wasn't the same. It was like it seemed kind of meaningless stats. So I just don't think he's a top 5 player anymore personally. I think he's a little bit outside of there. And part of that is just a lot of young new guys rising up and becoming these superstars. And again, LeBron's still a great player. To have him in a top 7 player at age 30, is he 36, 37?
I think he might be 37, right around there.
37. Like it's incredible. I'm not putting him in the top 5 anymore. So that's my number 7.
Yeah, 37. All right, who you got for 6 then?
So my number 6 is, again, this might be a little bit low for some people. Joel Embiid.
Wow. Okay.
And this one, I feel bad having him in this tier because when you look at his production on the court in the regular season, he'd be like top 3. The past couple years, like he's a top 3 regular season player. I think he's been elite and like very, very good. MVP candidate this season, won the scoring title. The issue is he's just never healthy when it matters. And
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
like I get he's never made it out of the second round. That's partially not his fault. Like he's played pretty well in the playoffs. You could make, like, he did kind of choke last year a little bit, but nobody talks about it. But we'll save that for another day. I'm not like, this isn't just like, oh, he does make it out of the second round, because it's like there's guys I have even higher that, like, haven't done a ton in the playoffs, but it's like at least they're healthy, playing super well. Like Embiid, it seems like every single year there's something that's like giving him a little bit of an excuse, and it's like at a certain point I'm like, if you're never healthy when it matters, like I have to bump you down my list a little bit. They say the best ability is availability. Like I at some point, 2018 playoffs, he had an orbital fracture, missed the first couple games of the first round. 2019 knee injury, missed a first round game. Then he had a stomach virus and an upper respiratory infection in the second round. 2020 ankle injury and got swept. 2021 meniscus tear in his knee. 2022 torn ligament in his thumb, orbital fracture, concussion. Like every single year, like there's not a single year that goes by where, and again, every year they've lost either first round or second round. There's not a single one where it's like he just is playing the whole way. There's no, injuries, nothing affecting him. So again, I just, at some point I got to bump him down. He's like one playoff run away, getting conference finals and being healthy from being like a top 3 player. To me, it hasn't happened. So I have him 6.
Yeah, no, I agree. Number 6 I have Curry. Or sorry, number 6 I have LeBron.
Okay.
I was looking at my list on here. So a spot ahead of you. I mean, you pretty much brushed on it before. It's still, for him to be this high up at his age, is pretty crazy. And then for me to go to my number 5 is where I have Embiid, kind of where I kind of put like Embiid, LeBron, and Curry in a tier where I was like, same as you. Embiid he hasn't been able to lead his team yet. And some of it's been like, this year they had the whole Simmons isn't playing the whole year. Then they get Harden, and Harden like played pretty terrible for them. So yeah. I almost give him like a little slack there, and he was just so freaking good this year.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm not a big Joel Embiid guy, but gotta give him credit, and for him to be, this high is still very good.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to act like, oh, his supporting cast is great and he should be, winning the finals or anything. But like, again, when I look at just what he's doing, he's hurt every year, and it's like if he was healthy, averaging 30 in the playoffs, like I'll just say the name, like Jokic. Like Jokic is healthy every time in the playoffs. He plays great. It's just that he doesn't get enough help and they lose. So I'm willing to kind of like ignore the loss and be like, you know what, he played really well. Whereas like Embiid, it's like, okay, well, you're just never healthy, dude. Like I'm just not, like, I want to call him a top 3. I'm just not confident any year that he's going to be healthy when it matters. So it's like it bumps him down. My number 5 is Stephan Curry. And so I kind of, again, the 5 through 9, I have that tier of Curry, Embiid, LeBron, Kawhi, Tatum. And Curry has dropped a little bit for me. Like this is the tier that's like, I don't think none of these players I don't think are in the conversation for best player in the world, or, even if they had like a playoff run or something, I'm still not going to call them the best player in the world. Whereas my 2 through 4, I do have them. Like if they made a playoff run, I could see someone calling them the best player in the world.
Yeah.
But these guys, I don't. I think Curry's fallen off a little bit. The efficiency hasn't been there. Still couldn't explode at any point. It just, like I still think he's one of the most dangerous players, and I love Steph Curry. It's just wasn't as good this year, under 26 points a game, lowest 3-point percentage of his career, had a pretty long slump, I know, middle of the season where he was in the 20s, I think, 3-point percentage wise. So I've seen enough that just bumps him down a bit for me, and I I'll put him at 5.
Okay. Do you want to go 4 or me?
I want you to go 4.
Okay. This was kind of tough for me. But number 4, I went with Luka. I absolutely love Luka, and I think the only reason I have him a little lower is kind of as you were just saying, just leading his team in the playoffs, which obviously this year he's done, getting him to the Western Conference Finals. Just rattled off a big win tonight to avoid the sweep. Love the way he plays. He continues to get better. If he was a little bit more efficient 3-point wise, I'd probably have him second behind Giannis, and maybe if he was just a little better on defense. But great player.
I have and again, this is a new tier. 4 through 2 are all a tier. So if you want to call any of these guys number 2, I don't have a huge problem with it. But my 4 is Kevin Durant. I think the playoff series did affect it a little bit. Like, I think I'd probably, if he had won that playoff series and then they played the Bucks and they were competitive and lost and he played well, like I'd probably have him 3, maybe 2. But I did, like, again, it's hard, like to shoot that bad in a playoff series and to be kind of shut down that much. It kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, like, is this guy? He's great. Like, we know what Kevin Durant is, but is he really in the conversation for best player in the world? Like, should he be? I don't know. So I still think he's probably the scariest and most dangerous scorer in the league, maybe of all time, even. Like, one of the best offensive players we've ever seen. But that playoff series, I think, definitely kind of, for right now, eliminates him from that best player in the world conversation until further notice. Maybe that injury is going to start catching up to him a little bit. But yeah, I mean, shooting 38% from the field and getting swept in a playoff series definitely, like, I think hurts you a little bit. But another great season, 30 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists on average. And I mean, I still have number 4. Like, this isn't like I'm slandering him or anything. It's just knock him down a little bit, but he's still Kevin Durant, and I still love him. And then I'll go number 3 as well too. Then, by the way,
okay.
My number 3 is Nicola Yogic.
Okay.
So, back-to-back MVP, of course, and I feel like he is a little bit disrespected again because he hasn't done it in the playoffs and everything. But again, when I look at, as I mentioned before, when I look at just his performances in the playoffs and just how he plays alone, there's enough there for me to kind of ignore the results and the team's success and be like, you know what, he's doing his part. He averaged 31, 13, and 6 in the playoffs. And I think he's a deep playoff run, conference finals, probably has to get to the finals away from being potentially the best player in the world. But right now he's just a little bit on the outside until he can start to do more in the playoffs and win a little bit more in the playoffs. But regular season beast, playoff, he's still a beast. So I haven't put him top 3.
Yeah. My number 3 is where I put KD. To me, I had to keep him top 3 because I had him kind of like people talked last year. They're like, oh, is it 1A, 1B, him and Giannis, and obviously Giannis has the defensive edge, whereas KD has that 3-level scoring. But I would need to see him like really regress or like struggle the way he did in the playoffs again, just because against us last year he was just phenomenal. And obviously the round before, I forget who they played in the first round, but
last year, I think last year was Boston.
Okay. Yeah, and then just him going off on us in that series, it was just like.
Wait, was it? I'm not. Hold on, I actually want to look this up, but keep talking.
It was a 2 and a 3, I think. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, that's why I had him 3 because I had him kind of that 1/2. So I was like, I don't know, I have a tough time putting him below 3, but to me, it was like 2, 3, 4 between Doncic, Durant, and then obviously I'm gonna have Jokic was interchangeable just based on how they're playing. Luka could easily be number 2 next year because he just continues to get good. He's 23, 24 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Boston, by the way,
Okay.
last year. So, um, yeah, these all these. It looks like so this tier for us is kind of going to be the same, just a little bit different order. So you have Jokic, 2,
Yep.
and again, I feel like it's not even biased to just be like we have Giannis 1, um, and then I have Luka 2, and I'm just going to put in that we have Giannis 1. But I'll go to so as far as number 2, I'm going with Luka. I think I just I don't know. That dude is a killer. Like that game 7 was crazy where he had as many points as the Suns did in the first half.
Yeah.
Um, regular season he was great, first team All NBA, playing super well. He's leading all scorers in the playoffs, 32 points a game. And it really does feel like he's going to be in the that best player in the world conversation for many years now. It's going to be kind of him and Giannis, and Jokic will be in there a little bit. And so not looking like he'll make the finals this year, but still a good playoff run without having a fantastic supporting cast. So yeah, I think he's the best point guard in the game now. I think he's the second best player. Again, none of these guys I don't think have an argument right now to be the best player. Like I think number 1 is a tier of its own. It's Giannis. It's the only guy I think you can say right now is the best player in the world. Anyone else is just kind of like a reach. But as I said, these 3 guys, Luka, Jokic, and Durant, are like one playoff run away from like, okay, like they can be in that tier potentially if Giannis struggles or something. So yeah, and then you obviously have Jokic 2 and Giannis 1.
Yeah, and I mean, as you said before, Jokic is great, and I mean his passing ability for his size too. He's like probably the most unathletic looking superstar that
Yeah.
I've ever seen, and that arguably ever. Obviously, you go back into the days, it's different because guys weren't built the way they are now. But just his ability to step outside. I know he started struggling a little from 3, but great. And then top tier, nobody better than Giannis right now, and
Yeah.
there's not really an argument. So
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like unanimous first team All NBA. That's now 4 years in a row. Nobody's ever done that. Like, so he's like, again, if there's a guy that's like every single year, everyone agrees he's like a top 3 to 5 player, which is what LeBron was for so long. Like, voting wise, like it's like everyone kind of agreed or LeBron was always the best player and everything, but it was like even in the MVP votes and in the All NBA votes, like every single voter was like, yeah, like even just this year alone, like he's a top 3 player. He's a top 3 player. And if you're doing that every single year, like you're the best player in the world. Nobody's gonna be number 1 every single year and have the best season every single year. There's guys that pop up and just have like when LeBron was playing, Derrick Rose had a really good year. KD had a really good year. Curry all of a sudden had like these monster years. It doesn't make them the best player in the world. They just had a year.
yeah,
But like the guy who's always there every single year is LeBron. Now the guy that's always there every single year is Giannis. And doing it on both. I mean, first team All NBA and first team All Defense. It's insane. You top 2 MVP candidate and maybe 3. I don't even know if he came in second or third, but and then to be a defensive player of the year candidate as well. Like it's just he's the only one doing that. So I think I think we kind of agree after the playoffs last year is when he kind of became the best player in the world officially, and it's kind of his league until he screws it up. Like I mean, he didn't win it this year, but it wasn't his fault at all. Until I see anything that makes me say, "Wow, Giannis isn't the best player," like he's the best player. Like he comes out and has another first team All NBA season, MVP caliber season, fantastic in the playoffs. Just no reason to think that he's not the best player. I found this too. So he's with all these accolades coming in now and being announced, the All NBA teams and stuff.
hmm
He's now 4-time first team All NBA, 4-time first team All Defense, 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, NBA champion. I want you to predict. There's one other player that has done all of those things in their career. Who is it?
Can you say it one more time? What all of them?
4-time first team All, and it's this or more. Like at least these.
Okay.
at least these benchmarks. So 4-time first team All NBA, 4-time first team All Defense, 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and a championship.
I'd have to say MJ because I think he won a Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, it's Jordan. He's the only one that's done all that. So,
Wow, that's
and
crazy.
Giannis is 27.
Yeah,
Like, obviously, Jordan had, I think Jordan was, I want to say, like 5 or 6-time All Defense, 5 MVPs or whatever it was, 1 Defensive Player of the Year, and the 6. Like, he has way more of them, but it's like Giannis is kind of, and I also have, before turning 28, so at Giannis's age right now, Giannis, 4 first team All NBA, Jordan had 4. Giannis, 4 first team All Defense, Jordan had 3. Giannis, 2-time MVP, Jordan was 1. Giannis has a Defensive Player of the Year, Jordan had 1. And Giannis has a championship, Jordan did not. So he's actually ahead of him in terms of like the pace. Now, I don't think he's going to have the peak that Jordan had. If he did, we're going to have some serious conversations about the GOAT. But
yeah.
it's crazy. I mean, the things he does just every year, it's like he's the top 3 player.
And as you said, both sides of the ball. I think that's what gets overlooked the most as to what makes him the best player. Like, I would say 2 other guys, Kawhi and Tatum, are known as good defenders now. Elite, one only elite in Kawhi, really, because to me, I didn't really look at Tatum as a great defender until he's played good like this playoffs and maybe a little last year. But like before that, he was like, okay, he's solid, but nothing crazy. Like you said, Giannis is a top 3, arguably the best defender between his off ball and ability to guard 1 through 5. Like this is taking Rudy Gobert and making him a scoring machine, uh, amazing vision, dishing out 6-7 assists a game. Like it's incredible when you look at it that way, how good of a defender he is, and yet is still a top 5 offensive player. Like,
yeah, because a lot of these guys, it seems like the best defenders, that's like they specialize in that, and some of them are good off, like Drew, like good offensive player, but he's not like, his defense is kind of what he's known for. He's not going to be a 30-point per game. Like Giannis is literally, like, you could argue he's the best player on offense and he's the best player on defense, which is just insane. But yeah, I mean, best player in the world. We've kind of known that for a while now. And yeah, I mean, again, disappointing that they weren't able to kind of, I want to say, get him that win, because like he deserved it. But yeah, just a little bit of a disappointing end of the season. But in the end, I feel like it's easier to swallow knowing that Chris was out, rather than like it's tough because you're like, oh, we're basically just having Chris away from probably going back to the finals and everything. But it also just makes you a little bit more confident going into the next season and going forward that, okay, like, this isn't like we had our best team and got beat and you have to change some stuff up. Like, they probably are fine if they just have their players. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything else you want to add?
No, I am. I do want to say I didn't get a chance to change my name, but I made a Twitter, as you know. So I'm going to try to start being more active. I'm going to post my top 10 on there now. So I got to start using my handle on here.
What's your at?
Should be at Brandon Eckel 4.
Brandon Eckel 4. Okay, yeah, I'll boost your stuff too. I'll retweet you and everything.
All right, thanks. So yeah, I mean, I know we talked about grinding out, getting some more podcasts out weekly, and looking forward to the draft. This was a good little first top 10 Tuesday top 10, whatever you want to call it.
Yep. All right. Well, that does it for us. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys pretty soon. And until then, hopefully, these NBA playoffs have kind of been trash, like with all the
they have
blowouts and everything. But hopefully we get some good games coming up soon. And yeah, and go anyone but the Celtics, preferably Golden State. So
yep.
All right. Peace out. See you guys later.